Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hollywood Dish, the show where we dish all things Hollywood. As always, I'm Rebecca North,
And I'm Nicole Rovine.
and we're back again. We're so excited about today's guest, but before we introduce her, Nicole, how are you? What's your weekly update or couple weekly update?
Yeah, it's been a minute. And we're back. As you said that, I was like, I need to take a breather because I feel like I can't even complain because you have more to say than I have to say about complaining rights. But I'm just like, I'm tired. I feel like rejuvenated to be here, but I feel like I've just been like running so low for the last few weeks, and I truly feel very just reinvigorated to be back here. I like when we're here and we talk and we cover everything because my mind is always racing with all these stories. So when we just like lay it all out and talk about it, I feel very at peace. So now that we're here, I'm good. But I've been like anxious for weeks. I don't know. I feel like I'm back in a good swing, but I don't know. So I'm good overall. I'm good. I've been watching a lot of television as always, movies, which we're gonna get into the Oscars, of course. So yeah, I've been good. I feel like right now I'm happier than I've been, and I'm very happy to be back. How are you, Rebecca?
I mean, I agree. I've been like so itching to talk about so many things that have been going on. Like, obviously, the elephant in the room or in the media. And
The
I've been
media.
super interested to could not wait to talk. I did test positive for COVID this morning. So that's a crazy turn of events. I feel kind of fine. I mean, I'm like a little beat. It was really just like me being dramatic as per usual. Like anytime I cough, I test. Every time I have a headache, I test. And then I had a headache and I was just like, yeah, why not? And it was positive, and I was like, whoa, crazy. But I'm doing fine. I mean, I can't really complain because I already had COVID and it was a lot worse right off the bat. So
You had
hopefully
it
this time,
recently, right?
yeah, I had it November and then I got my booster in between. And then I don't know. It's crazy, but someone's out to get me. But
Oh, well,
I
you know what?
mean,
It's good that it's less like intense this time.
oh, yeah. No,
I'm
like,
happy for you
I
for
would
that.
never have even, if I wasn't so dramatic, I would have never even tested if I was, like, a normal person,
Mhm.
but I did, and thank God I did, because then I'm not going out and spreading it, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this has definitely been the highlight of my day so far, even though we've been on for
Same.
2 minutes, so
Me
I'm
too.
really excited, and I'm itching to introduce our guest. Nicole, will you do the honors?
Yes, yes. We're happy to have you, and thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here amidst the illness. And we hope that this makes you feel better, and this like
Yes,
you feel like it's a little medicine just to
for
talk
sure.
about superficial Hollywood nonsense. It's a little dose of sugar that you need. And on that note, someone else who we love to talk about all this stuff with, not always in front of the camera, but always behind the camera when we're texting about this stuff. This person is always on our text chain when we're talking about everything that you see here. And she is the producer of our show. She edits a lot for the SNL Network. She does so much behind the scenes. And so we're so excited to have her in front of the camera tonight to give her opinions on things. We get the privilege of that all the time in our group chats. And now you get to have it in your ears or on your faces if you're on YouTube. And so, with that, welcome to the podcast, Shelby Frost Woods. Yay.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. I'm always behind the scenes watching you guys do the show, and I have so many comments in my head. I'm like, I'd be so funny. So I'm glad to finally be on the show.
You also, I should point out for our audio listeners, Shelby is unlike me and Rebecca, who look a little, no, I'd say we both look the most casual we've ever
Oh,
looked.
ever looked,
Both of
yeah.
us. Both of us. I'm in like a gray sweatshirt. You're into like
We're
a
both in
beanie.
gray sweatshirts.
You are too, right? I couldn't even tell. Yeah, so we're both just raggedy, and Shelby is in her Oscars finest. Like you look like you just rolled off the red carpet. So
Thank
tell the
you.
people what you're wearing or who you're wearing. That's what people say, right? Who are you
Yeah.
wearing? Okay, tell.
I'm wearing my friend Audrey's dress that she didn't want anymore, and
Very
these
nice.
$5 earrings that I got off of an Instagram ad.
Very
We
nice.
love.
Thank you.
We love that. I had so much respect for all of the reporter. We're going to get into this more, but like every reporter on the red carpet this weekend, I was aware more than ever of how hard that job is of asking so many people what they're wearing and what they're excited about and all their stuff. And I saw so many cringy red carpet interviews, and I just was like, that seems like the most stressful thing ever. And yeah, it was just like you have to remember so much. It's crazy. So I just had to do it to one person. I just had to ask one person who you're wearing and how you're excited to be here. So
yes, and also though, you are setting the bar now for all future guests. So to all of our future guests out there, this is our expectation now. If you're not coming in red carpet attire, then you don't care as much as Shelby
And let me
does.
be clear. Rebecca and I will get more and more casual every time. So we're in gray sweatshirts today. Next time we're gonna wear
I don't even know. I'm not gonna shower
a dirty
from
rag,
today.
no showering. Like
I'm not showering for a week now. Not until next.
Oh yeah. Oh, we can't shower till the next one. Can't wash my hair. Can't do anything. I'm gonna keep my earrings in so that they get all rusty. Like they're gonna just like rust on my earlobes for a week. So we're gonna get disgusting.
I think I do that anyway. I don't ever take my earrings out.
Mine fall
and
out.
I have like 10 all over these, and I never touch them.
Oh, if I keep them in,
can't really tell.
They get weird.
Because I have like headphones and everything, but I've got these over here. Got all the way up.
You have a lot.
I have a lot, yeah.
What do you have, Shelby? Are you pierced?
Oh yes, I just got my septum pierced, but I put it up for the podcast because I was like, you probably won't be able to tell what's coming out of my nose if it's just.
Does it affect like your like nasal production?
You know what? It does kind of feel like I have a nosebleed all the time. It's sort of stressing me out. I'm always touching it. I'm like, oh, it's my piercing. And like my septum, like my actual septum is pretty swollen right now. So that feels a little strange, but I love it. I think it's very cute.
No, I have my nose too, and it gets like itchy sometimes, like in a mask, and it gets like caught to the mask, and I'm like, why did I do this in the middle of the pandemic?
Like, I didn't even think of that. It must be
like if you use the blue masks, you know how they get like itchy sometimes and do it, it'll get stuck to people. So
I'm holding one right now. I could picture it. I'm holding one up to the thing.
Literally,
I'm picturing it puncturing the mask. Yeah. Well, I have just my one piercings, and I'm very boring and basic like that.
My mom would love you more than she loves me.
Yeah. Yes. Everyone in my family were so basic. Like it's like we all have our ears pierced, but no more than that. It's like we're all very just like basic. And
I'm a disruptor in my house.
Very nice.
I'm
you know what? By comparison, I would say I'm also a disruptor, but it's really not saying that much in my house. Well, with that, we are going to dive into our first story, and we've already touched on it. It is impossible to avoid this topic. If you have been consuming any media, any pop culture conversations at all this week, you know what we're going to talk about. You know what this is about. It's the slap. It's the slap. So the slap heard around the world. Of course, it's like you can't avoid this. Like I was at a family function with people who usually I'm like the crazy one talking about pop culture, and they're like, we couldn't care less. But it wasn't even me initiating the conversation. We talked for 4 hours debating this thing. So if you're here, you probably know the details. Basically, Chris Rock, who has hosted the Oscars twice, once 2005, once 2016, he was a presenter for the 2022 Oscars, introducing the best documentary feature category. He cracked some jokes to the audience. He took some shots at people, including one at Jada Pinkett Smith. And it was a reference to G.I. Jane, the movie where Demi Moore shaved her head and played a woman who was bald. And Chris Rock said, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. And, because Jada Pinkett Smith is bald, and something that that she's been open about, but that maybe people didn't know, is that she's bald as a result of her alopecia, which is a medical condition. And so it was basically, Will Smith seemed like at first he was laughing, and then all of a sudden he wasn't laughing. He stormed up to the stage and he slapped Chris Rock. And then twice he said, get my wife's name out of your effing mouth. The broadcast cut out for 30 seconds, maybe even more. And it was picked up in Australia and Japan, elsewhere. So it took no time for this story to catch fire all around the internet. People were posting the broadcast from elsewhere so you could hear everything. And this story has just set the world on fire. I can't remember the last time so many people were talking about something, period. I'm just baffled more than the actual story, just by the amount that it is consuming all of us, everyone I talk to. Rebecca, what do you think?
I had the same thing actually. Is like I was out to dinner because I'm 3 hours behind anyway. So I was like out to dinner and my wrist is like my Apple Watch is buzzing like crazy. And I was like, sorry, I don't want to be rude, but like I'm really curious something's going on. And it was my mom and my grandma going back and forth being like, what just happened? Was it scripted? Which was everyone's initial reaction was because Will was laughing for the first like 10 seconds, it really seemed kind of scripted. And then you quickly find out after it by no means was that scripted at all. And it was on the spot. And it like took me a full day to like gather my thoughts and opinions there. And I just think the whole thing is like so wild. Like, yes, that joke is making fun of someone's medical condition, and that should not never have happened in the beginning, whether Chris Rock wrote it himself or I actually heard that other writers like wrote it for him. That joke should have never been in existence. You don't make fun of people's medicals, but you're at the Oscars. You're at one of the most prestigious award shows ever. I honestly think it would have been, I think it would have been more appropriate if like Will Smith sat there and said like, get my wife's name out of your mouth and didn't do the slap. I understand an immediate reaction, but I was like, that is not the right reaction by any means, is to go and slap him across the face like on public television only moments before you get your really prestigious award. Like I like don't even know how to express like just how shook I was by the whole thing. And it was just so wild and just so inappropriate. Like not the time nor place and not the response you should ever give anyone.
Not a time. And I just, when he said that, he said there's not a time. Ariana DeBose in her beautiful acceptance speech, she referenced a West Side Story quote from that song, "There's a place for us." And you said, this is not a place for that. It should have been, there's a place for everyone. And it just, there wasn't a place for what Will Smith wanted to do. There wasn't. And when you said that, it just came into my head.
Yeah. And like, I get it's a bad joke. It's a horrible joke. And he's causing more attention to the joke. And like, it is now,
it was like
a million times more public. Yeah.
If he didn't say anything, no one would have even processed that it was in reference to a bald woman, in reference to, like, I thought that G.I. Jane was a character that Jada Pinkett Smith played, and that like maybe they were making fun of that.
It went right over my head.
That there should have been like a sequel, but the movie was a bomb, so there wasn't a sequel, and they're making fun of how she had a flop movie. Like that sort of sense. I had no idea all of this, and I never would have known if he didn't blow it up.
Didn't slap him. Yeah, Shelby, what do you think?
Tell us.
I feel like the one opinion that I can give is there's so much going on behind the scenes that I think we don't know about, especially between the relationship of Chris Rock and the Smiths. You know, I thought Jada looked absolutely stunning. Even before the joke or anything, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know she had alopecia, but I thought the shaved head was a look. I loved it. So it was wild that it kind of blew up the internet the way that it did. But yeah, I think there's a lot going on there that hasn't been discussed outside of, was it appropriate to slap somebody at the Oscars? Which I feel like generally, no, it's not okay to do that.
Right. And of course, this is, as you said, their relationships between them, we don't know everything behind the scenes, but we do know that 6 years ago, Chris Rock made another jab at Jada, and it was another kind of bad joke. And it was basically, he said that so it was when Jada Pinkett Smith was one of the first people boycotting the Oscars, talking about it, wanting to do it, wanting to take a stand. And Chris Rock said, oh, Jada Pinkett Smith saying that is like me saying, like that I don't want to go in Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited to begin with. And it's like, again, a bad joke, misogynistic, like stupid. But clearly like there's some bad blood there to do those two jokes. Any chance you get the Oscar stage that you have to crack one at them. And granted, they were kind of an easy target, Jada and Will, given what has been going on with them in recent months, with their certain things about their relationship being exposed, with Jada Pinkett Smith's having an affair, and them being in an open marriage, an open relationship, and certain things unfolding. So it's all on the heels of so much context that we all have various amounts of context. and no one really knows the full truth about it. So, okay, let's see what else do we want to bring up? I mean, basically, as I said, this set the world on fire. Everyone has been talking about it, and we're gonna just talk a little bit about some of the reactions, because basically it's like everyone has been asked, every famous person has had to say something, but also the second you open your mouth, you are not safe, because it feels like there's no way to have the correct opinion about this. And so basically, okay, I'm just going to list some people who kind of were more on Chris's side. So Zoe Kravitz made her Instagram caption. She was like, here's me at an event where somebody slapped someone. And this is paraphrasing, but it was this kind of passive aggressive shady thing. And then she went from like the world's most favorite person in the whole world to all of a sudden just getting roasted on the internet. People were digging up the randomest stuff about her. It was like the way you can go from so beloved to people just tearing you apart. It's crazy. Jim Carrey is another one who made a statement on Gayle King. Two of the three hosts, so Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes were the three hosts. And Amy Schumer made a statement on Instagram, Wanda Sykes on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and they both used the word traumatized. Wanda Sykes taught when she was speaking, and Amy Schumer in an Instagram caption, a written caption. And I think it's interesting that they both used that word, because they put so much work into this. It was like their baby. Like you when you host the Oscars, it's yours. Like you should be able to feel empowered by that and take ownership of what you're doing. And like for someone to just ruin that, it is traumatizing. And I don't think people are really talking about them enough.
Wait, to be fair though, Amy's first post was, "Oh, if you want a distraction from all this Oscar stuff, watch my new show, Life and Beth, on Hulu."
That was so funny.
That killed me. I was like, are you not going to actually talk about it? And then her following post was a lot more of a serious like message about it. But I was like, that's such a good use of, this post is about to blow up. Use it as marketing. Like,
she was good. And she also mentioned like talking about her summer tour that's like months away. Like, watch my show, get tickets to my show, my stand-up show, and okay, here's what's happening. It's genius.
It's the best PR she could have ever gotten, because she knows whatever she posts and says about it, it's screenshotted on every big like platform, being like, Amy Schumer speaks out. First, watch her show and go to her tour, and then you can hear what she has to say.
No, it's so perfect. And it's like, basically, I'd say there are about 25 or 30 celebrities right now where if you Google them, the first thing that comes up is their response to this situation. Even if they're an A-list celebrity promoting a huge project right now, the first thing that shows up is their reaction to this. If they've said something about it, that's what you see when you Google them. And it's just like, it's astounding. We thought that the La La Land Moonlight mix-up was crazy when they called La La Land as Best Picture and it was really Moonlight. We thought that was crazy and that was something people were going to talk about forever. Like, pales in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then just one person I thought, well, okay, I'm going to say a few more people who had some opinions. Tiffany Haddish on the red carpet said something along the lines of that it was nice that Will Smith was defending his wife, standing up for his wife. And I get where she's coming from, but I think for me, it feels more like some fragile masculinity that you feel like if you want to show your wife that you're a man, you have to go slap someone, because Will Smith's masculinity has been called into question, that like, oh, you would let your wife go have this fling, and that's all based so much in like these weird ideals that we have about society, when it was revealed that their marriage has been like open for a long time and in a mutual way. Like, it's all that, like, Will is like a loser and he's not a real man or whatever. So I feel like this stems from something deeper that is more, it has to do with the way their marriage, the entanglement, that they use that word very famously. Like this feels like a deeper rooted thing for me. So I get where Tiffany was coming from, but
yes, but also he could have made the joke about Tiffany, who voluntarily shaved her head off, just like her hair off, not her head off, who voluntarily shaved her hair off, and like the joke would have been a lot better received, because while it's not like that funny of a joke, like if he was going to say it about someone that like made the choice to shave her head, like her, oh my God, I keep saying it, shave her hair off, rather than someone that had to do it for a medical reason. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but Tiffany Haddish, what a wild thing. I mean, realistically, if anyone should have gone up there and slapped him, it should have been Jada. And that would have been really a lot more appropriate.
That
So
would have been so interesting. I can't even begin to unpack how we would have reacted to it. Because it's so
see, in that
fundamentally
case, I would have been
different.
like, go off, sis.
It would have been like girl boss, like how people talk about Elizabeth Holmes, girl bossing close to the sun. Like it would have, people would have been like that. It's just
yeah, my
crazy how
favorite
we did
though,
it differently.
my favorite
Yes.
response was O.J. Simpson saying that Will should have never
Good.
slapped him. Like O.J. Simpson
Bro.
is saying that someone should never have slapped him. Like that's actually wild.
Bro, here's what I'll say for OJ. He did say he understood where he was coming from. He understood that when
personal experience,
when you have emotions and pain inside, you make impulsive decisions that could be very violent and could end in, you know, physical assault or worse, death.
Yeah.
So when you're in that situation, like OJ really empathized with that.
His
and
post
he made
was
it
just
clear.
a snippet from his like court case. That's what it was.
What do you
his
mean?
post was just a snippet of his court case. It was his defense trying to defend Will Smith. Shelby, speak. You shall be on mute. Give your opinion.
Tell us what you're. Yeah.
What?
I don't know where you are. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, okay. I just need to get this clear.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson
Yes.
said that he understands how Will Smith could have felt being triggered like that to do an act of violence.
Along those lines, he kind of empathized. He said it's wrong, but he understood, you know, where it came from on the inside. Like
I feel like last person I want empathizing with me is O.J. Simpson, you know?
Yeah. Wait, here's the direct quote. I'm getting the direct quote. Hey, look, it was unfortunate. I think Will was wrong. Look, I understand the feeling. In my life, I've been through a lot of crap. I was raising 2 young kids, and every comedian in the country had OJ routines. I don't think I wouldn't want to slap a couple of those guys, but you've got to accept it's human.
That's a very human response. And it is true. Like people are gonna have the Chris Rock Will Smith routine now, the way they had the OJ routines.
Yeah.
Like Norm Macdonald on SNL was most famous for the OJ stuff. That's what you can tie directly to him getting the boot on SNL, was he would push the OJ stuff really far. And in retrospect, it's a great thing to have on YouTube to go back to that stuff, because that's iconic. Everything he did, it pushed the boundaries. But one more person that maybe you don't want empathizing with you is Alec Baldwin. Also spoke out and condemned the behavior. And Alec Baldwin, who accidentally shot someone on a film set and is now filming another movie. So I guess he didn't really have repercussions of that. He also, his wife announced that she's pregnant again for like the 13,000th time. So good for them. I mean, whatever. Okay. And then in conclusion about the reactions, Daniel Radcliffe had perhaps the best response. He's back in the news because he's filming. He just had that movie, The Lost City, with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, which I need to go see. And Bowen Yang is in it. SNL cast member is in that as well. And Daniel Radcliffe said that he is, quote, dramatically bored of the whole discourse, and that he doesn't want to contribute an opinion because we don't need more opinions on this matter. And here we are on a podcast talking about it, giving opinions. But I think we can all agree that Daniel Radcliffe he was talking some good sense in that whole thing.
Why is Daniel Radcliffe commenting on this? Period. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. The fact that he's in the headlines, like, honestly, OJ, Alec Baldwin also don't make sense, but everyone else kind of was there. They had their 2 cents. Why is Daniel Radcliffe commenting on this?
I think he was asked because all these famous people are doing press for, you know, The Lost City, which had amazing numbers in its first week of release. Yeah. And it's this massive movie, and all you want to do when you do your press is answer questions about your movie, give a little about your personal life, have fun, get some laughs. You don't necessarily want to be asked about this random Will Smith, Chris Rock drama, but like you simply cannot go on a talk show these days or get interviewed to promote your own stuff without being asked about it. So I think he was like, that's not what I'm here to do. Yeah. Like, shut up and let me promote my movie and let's like have a nice chat and I'm over this.
Just a side note, I
Yeah.
forgot that Daniel Radcliffe was Harry Potter. When I was just thinking of him, I was imagining him as the dog walker in Trainwreck. So in the movie
Wait.
Trainwreck, they're in a theater and the movie is called The Dog Walker and it's about Daniel Radcliffe walking dogs. And like in my mind just now is like, what is Daniel Radcliffe known for? Oh yeah, the dog walker. So that's where I'm
really
at
good.
right now.
I
So
completely forgot about that. It's a
but
great movie.
actually I take it back. Since he was in an Amy Schumer movie, he does have the right to say.
That's true. There is a connection. It's all
7
connected.
degrees away from Daniel Radcliffe.
Manifest voice. If anyone saw Manifest, it's all connected. It's all connected. That's a creepy show, but it's a good show. So basically, yeah. So the most recent updates, Will Smith apologized in a written apology, which is much less sincere than you don't really know how someone feels if they just have a notes app apology, or even if you bump up the font and clean up the edges and make it pretty, like you don't really know how someone feels when they write an apology. So he apologized. The Academy claimed that they tried to make him leave, and then reports today from various sources are alleging that that's BS, that the Academy did no such thing and they're just trying to like cover their backs. And so that's a main development. And then another development is video footage. First it was audio footage, and then video also came out today from Chris Rock's stand-up show in Boston. Sold out. The tickets, any remaining tickets skyrocketed in price, and they were on like secondhand, whatever the phrase is, sites. What's the word for like other sellers?
Third party.
Yeah, like third party sellers who buy tickets and then resell them, whatever. It's like they were in the thousands. Like these tickets that were going for like $42, it's thousands, and then it fully sold out. And so he addressed it. He said he's still processing it. He's not going to get into it. He came to do a show that he wrote, and he doesn't have the words for it right now, and that's fine. And then he also, according to a report from Rolling Stone, I don't want to sound like a grandma. Grandmas are cool, but I want to sound young and hip. According to Rolling Stone,
I want to sound like a grandma, on the contrary. So I'll practice
Who am
that.
I kidding?
Okay.
Who am I kidding?
I'll practice that.
Yeah. Oh, are you okay? What was that voice? That wasn't a grandma. That was Larry David.
It is. Well, okay,
that
to be fair, when I'm older, my voice is going to sound like a grandpa's voice anyway.
It's true. You already kind of sound like Larry David.
I already kind of sound like that. So
yeah.
Please,
okay, the last
don't
thing.
tease me like that.
I know. I'm being too nice. Only because you have COVID, I'll be extra nice. Okay, so he said this is really sad. He said the worst thing that happened to him over the weekend was he found out his daughter didn't get into the University of California. He was like, that's actually like a really crappy thing that happened to me. Like, that's what I'm thinking about. That sucks. Like, that was like where she wanted to go and she has to figure out whatever else. So that's another quote from Rolling Stone from somebody who was at the event. So he's like busy. And actually that is a segue into something else that we want to talk about. We're still on this story, but we're going to talk about the SNL implications as we always tie it back. How is SNL going to address this? And my main point about it, by Saturday, we will have had a week of this. The discourse fatigue is going to be, it's already crazy. It's going to be even more severe by Saturday, which is why my kind of theory is SNL has simply no choice but to reenact the situation or to do impressions of it, because that's the only thing that hasn't been done yet, is a full-blown, high-quality, like the cream of the crop impressionist breakdown of what happened. It's the only thing we haven't seen yet. We've seen every take on Twitter, on TikTok, on podcasts. So SNL, that is it. Like, they can't just say, we're just going to crack some jokes about this on Update. They have to lean all the way into it and go full out on impressions. So we did some research, and Chris Rock has been in Boston most of this week for shows, and then he has 2 shows on Saturday night in New Jersey, so pretty close, one at 7 p.m. and one at 10 p.m. So the chances of him appearing on SNL are low, because even if it's a pre-tape, he would have to film it from Boston. He's been in Boston all week, and then he's in Boston through Friday night, and then Saturday night he's in New Jersey. So the odds are very low that he can make it. What do you guys think? Do you want to manifest that he can save the day somehow and do like a magical appearance somehow?
I don't think he will be there.
It's a little crazy to think he could. He's booked and busy.
I think he should stay maybe away from the topic for a little bit.
I think that's fair. It's just kind of fun to imagine that
How do you imagine it though to be play out on the show? I'm seeing a lot of different takes in the chat.
I think they're gonna reenact it like in full of what happened. And then the other thing that SNL can do that no one else has really done is they can make it really like high tech and add in a bunch of elements of maybe like a rewind. They did a sketch with Keenan recently where they were doing like that cool rewind thing with the tape, the old videotape. From I think it was last episode, the Zoe Kravitz episode. And so they could play with that. They could do some cool tech stuff. And I just think like they have to do impressions and they have to do something really they have to do stuff.
I don't think they'll reenact the slap. I know I always come on here and I say like, oh, I think they're going to do one of those impression sketches where they're all like auditioning for a movie or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually could see it happening where they're like being a bunch of celebrities reacting to the slap. And like, they don't actually like do it or like they quickly reenact it and they're getting people like on a red carpet, like talking about it after. Or I'm imagining someone to come on Update, like someone as in like someone who's either acting like Chris Rock or honestly like Ego as Jada on Update. I think that would be really cool if they like had it from Jada's perspective or something like that, or like, or you know those like dramatic like reenactments of like stories. Like, have you ever seen like a Drunk History where they like dramatically reenact it? They could do that from like all three perspectives, from like Jada's, from Will's, from Chris's. And I don't know, Shelby, what do you think? I'm spiraling.
No, Sandrina in the chat actually had, they said they think that Biden is going to slap Putin, which I think might be the way that SNL goes about this because it's kind of a controversial topic. But you're right, there's no way that they can't address it. Like, it's so big in the news. And I wonder if maybe they'll do a reference to it while doing something else to keep away from like causing too much more discourse. Because like you said, by Saturday, people are going to be tired. Like, they've heard every take they can hear. So I thought that was an interesting comment.
That reminds me of a few years ago. Do you remember when they did the Bachelor cold open, Becca Kufrin season, and they did Becca and Ari? They reenacted a Bachelor, this crazy moment on The Bachelor, and they used, it was, I'm going to look it up on air, but they basically, it was so they basically, they did exactly what you're saying. It was a Bachelor like huge moment where like this girl got her heart broken, and they retold the story, but with Robert Mueller and here, where I just need to show you this.
I'm just gonna comment on how,
and it was.
I just like how you said this really big Bachelor moment where a girl got her heart broken, as if that's not just like the small moment. That's every Bachelor moment. But no, that could be a good idea. Like,
it was like they did, and it was like a metaphor. Like, they were like, so they're talking about collusion and like, it was just, it was a really, really smart way to talk about pop culture and then weave it into politics. And so that was a good one. I'm explaining it horrifically, but that's that one.
You're painting the picture.
Yeah, it was like you just use a metaphor of like, how could you do this to me? You betrayed me. I thought I trusted you. And it was all metaphors of, and then exactly. So they could do that with Putin and Biden. I like that idea a lot. And they need to be creative. It's like they have no choice but to be creative, because every day that goes by, if they're going to talk about it, they know you have to be original. Like, it's just getting harder and harder to be original. So they got to think outside the box. I'm pretty excited. And we're looking into Will Smith and his likelihood to appear. Now, I think we could all bet that Will Smith himself will probably not appear on the show. He never has, but he's been impersonated a lot. So Tim Meadows in 1998 did it. And then Jay Pharoah did it a bunch of times in, 10 years ago, 6 times, and then most recently in 2014. So we also looked into his schedule. He's booked and busy this weekend too. So we don't really think that he's going to come. Tim Meadows, however, didn't see anything on his calendar. So, maybe he's taking a family vacation or he's filming something, or He is being a cannibal in the Brooklyn Nine-Nine universe. If you get it, you get it. That's what Huey plays in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's one of my favorite cameos in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
So, but we kind of stalked his calendar on Ticketmaster and such,
Yeah.
and he could.
Nicole and him have a shared Google calendar.
Yeah, we
shared
do.
Google calendar, and he's just not up to date. So usually she knows what he's doing for context.
Exactly. So he could be around, but also like we have a huge cast, and like all of the roles that we want to fill, we can fill them. Like we have so many people who could do so many roles. Like I mean, maybe like it'll be random. Like Jim Carrey will come in as himself or something. Like if we get like one person, one famous cameo.
Daniel Radcliffe.
That's a good one. Okay,
that's
everybody manifest one per, and then this is our last thing we're going to do, and do it in the chat also. Manifest one real person who you want to cameo, whether as themselves or as someone else, of all the people we listed, whether Chris Rock, Will Smith, someone who reacted to it like Zoe Kravitz, Alec Baldwin, OJ Simpson. Don't manifest those. Daniel Radcliffe, Tiffany Haddish, Jim Carrey, everyone who has reacted to it. Jada,
Amy Schumer,
Wanda Sykes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody say one person that you want to come on. Anyone related to the situation in any capacity. Who wants to go first?
You go first.
Me go first? Okay. Me go first? Okay. That's how I talk to my dog. You go. I've been talking to my dog all day, so I'm in that mode. Oh my gosh, Questlove. Sandrine in the chat. We didn't even mention Questlove yet. I agree. Questlove, of everyone, he got the shortest end of the stick because he won the Oscar. Chris Rock was presenting the category that Questlove won in, Best Documentary Feature. He had Summer of Soul, a documentary that is, I need to go see it now. You saw it?
It's so good. Yeah.
I
think it's on Hulu. It's on something.
Okay, so I'm gonna go stream that. Like maybe even after this. I'm the biggest fan of his. When I saw John Mayer live, Questlove filled in with like 10 minutes notice because I'm being so dramatic, like 2 hours notice because John Mayer's drummer got COVID. And so Questlove's like, yeah, I haven't done these songs with you in like 20 years, but I'll probably be fine. So we went to Madison Square Garden and filled in. And it was so, I like just feel so connected to Questlove after that because he literally, and I was listening to him on Fallon when he was interviewed on Monday after, he was like, all my career, like I never turned down any opportunity, however big or small. Like I just want to perform and have fun and connect with people. And like he just deserved that moment so much. And so Questlove would be the perfect cameo. He's in the building. The Roots is the band for the Tonight Show. So he's in that building at least, 5 nights a week, pretty much, not usually Saturdays, but he was in the very, very famous sketch with Timothy Chalamet and Pete Davidson. And he was the one who slapped them in that sketch. So that would be a really interesting cameo because not only was he the person who was, I'd say, the most impacted by the slap in the moment because his moment was taken away at the Oscars, he also is extremely available at 8H, and he had a pretty famous slap in a very famous SNL sketch. So Questlove would be a good one. That's mine. What do you guys want?
Yeah, I also agree that and I feel like very likely that he would be there. I would like to see Wanda Sykes, just because I love her. I love listening to her talk.
Yeah, I mean, I would like an Amy Schumer cameo because like I'm like an Amy Schumer unapologetic, but I'm hooking my like line into Daniel Radcliffe. Just because if he is on the show, and I see Casey in the chat is completely agreeing with me, it would just be so funny if Daniel Radcliffe was the person to come on an SNL to talk about the scenario. But yeah, so that'll be really exciting to see, though. I cannot wait for Saturday.
Same. Okay, now we're gonna do a little segment, and I would say the majority of what we talk about today will be the Oscars related. We want to take a second to just talk about some really nice, amazing moments from the night because all the media coverage, 90% of it has been this, and we need to shed light on other stuff that happened because there was a lot of other stuff that happened. And my personal favorite thing all night that happened was when Lady Gaga and Liza Minelli introduced Best Picture. It was just the most heartwarming moment I had ever seen. And people were making fun of Lady Gaga when she was snubbed by the Academy for Best Actress. She did a very Oscar baity film, House of Gucci. She was racking up a lot of other nominations, a couple wins, very like active on the award show circuit and doing a lot of interviews, a lot of press. Like she wanted the nomination, or at least she acted like she did, and was like, you know, I think that when you act like you're too cool for it, then it's easier to be like, oh, I didn't want it anyway. But it's easier to make fun of someone when they really make it clear that they want it. So she made herself an easy target when she was showing that passion and that interest for all those weeks and months to be in the conversation, and then she gets snubbed from it. So she made herself a target for people to make fun of her, which like she didn't deserve at all. And then it was such a beautiful full circle, because it seemed like she got the short end of the stick, or that she was snubbed. It was the biggest snub people talked about. And then she really got the biggest prize of the night, because she introduced the biggest category of the night, and with one of the most legendary entertainment industry professionals of all time, with Liza Minnelli. And it was so touching to see. Liza Minnelli has her health. We don't know exactly what has gone on, but she was in a wheelchair, and she appeared to have some cognitive issues, and she needed some help from Lady Gaga in that moment to do the presentation and to announce everything. And it was just so touching and so classy, the way that Lady Gaga did that, and the way she shows respect for older people in the industry, and like Tony Bennett, what she did for years with him and continues to work with him. So it's just really cool to see her pay respect to the people who she clearly admires so much, and that she wants to lift them up too. I was just touched by that. It was beautiful.
Yes, Liza also has I botched the pronunciation, encephalitis, and it's swelling of the brain. So it could cause a lot of things. And I did see in the chat that Liza Minnelli has severe vertigo, which actually it's her in Arrested Development. Her character does have severe vertigo. So I think that's probably where the confusion lies there. But in real life, she has encephalitis. So yeah, I mean, I love Lady Gaga. I don't know who I was happier to see. Like my two favorite women in Hollywood are Lady Gaga and Amy Schumer. So I was just so why is it interesting? I really relate to Amy Schumer because we're very similar. But I think Lady Gaga did such a great job. She was a champ. I mean, it was even mentioned in the monologue that like she was a big snub, and she just powered through as she always does, and just was so it was so heartwarming. It was obviously really just like heartbreaking to see Liza in that condition on the stage, but Lady Gaga like helped push it through, made her feel good about it on stage, and she like looked at her and whispered and was like, "I got you." And it was so nice to see.
Yeah. So about Amy Schumer, she I think that she did an okay job, but I think that also we needed to pay more attention to like Wanda Sykes. I'd say Wanda was my favorite of the three that night. She did this really cute pre-recorded sketch where she was going around and getting this tour of this museum. Regina did her stuff was a little bit iffy, kind of cringy. And then Amy Schumer,
cringy.
It was very cringy. It was cringy, but honestly, it benefited from the whole Will Smith thing, because I think if that didn't happen, people would be coming after her, because basically it was kind of like a sexual assault harassment sketch. It was like flipping the narrative that it was a woman, but I don't think that really made it much better. It was very cringy and not even funny. Like it's not like she took a risk in the name of like humor. There was nothing even funny within the cringy kind of awkwardness. And then Amy Schumer, the one other thing that we'll bring up, and then again, most of what we're talking about today will be the Oscars, but one joke that really caught fire online was when she went after Kirsten Dunst and basically called her a seat filler. And so Kirsten Dunst and her husband, Jesse Plemons, were both nominated for The Power of the Dog. And Amy Schumer was like, "Oh, excuse me, seat filler, can you move?" And she kicked Kirsten out of her seat, and she starts talking to Jesse, kind of flirting with him. And then he's like, "That's my wife, right?" And it was like, it wasn't that great, but people were like defending Kirsten Dunst beyond belief, even though she was in on the joke.
She was in on the joke. It was a bit obvious. If she did it to the husband, it would have been like, I don't even know his name. That's how, like, it would have been rude because, like, he is a nobody. Like, he isn't Kirsten Dunst. Like, that literally, I was, like, seeing online. I was like, this is why the world is, like, toxic. Because, like, it was a joke that Kirsten Dunst was in on. It's Kirsten Dunst. No one is, questioning if she's a seat filler or not. Like, that's insane. And, like, the world's like, that is so mean to her. And I'm like, she was in on it. She got up out of the seat. Like, she knew it was happening. Like, crazy. And she also got a lot of bad negative feedback on, like, her being like, Jennifer Lawrence did a good job, although she's gained a bit of weight this year because she's pregnant, and they're, like, best friends. And you even hear in the back of, like, the recording, like, you could hear, like, the cackling. Like, people are just, like, very nitpicky and everything. Well, I do think the Regina stuff is definitely cringy and, like, not right. I don't think anything that was said was controversial, like, from the three of them should have ever been taken, like, in a weird way, because they're all jokes and they're all friends with these people that they talked to before.
Agreed. Shelby,
what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know. I think everybody likes having a hot take, and so if they can find an issue in something, they're gonna find an issue in it. But like you guys said, she was clearly in on the joke. Like, I think most of the people there were in on whatever jokes were gonna be told about them, with the exception of probably the Jada, Chris Rock, Will Smith situation. But yeah, pretty much everything you guys said has been my thoughts on it too.
Yeah, we get too much adrenaline. I can speak to this too. Like, there's too much adrenaline from making a tweet or a post or a story and, like, getting a reaction out of it. If you have one tweet that just gets a lot of attraction, it's like, and then you say something controversial about somebody and people pick up the tweet and are interacting with it, it's like there's way too much, like, serotonin that comes with it. And I don't think any of us really, there's, like, no one, I think, who deserves that reaction, like the positive reaction in our brains when we do something on the internet that gets so much validation. Like, we are not equipped as humans to handle that amount of, like, positive, like, feedback and reinforcement and stuff. Like, we are literally not programmed to handle that. And so if you do that and you know people are going to pick up what you're doing, like with Zoe Kravitz, she was the most beloved celebrity ever yesterday, and today people are digging up everything they can about her. And it's like, because people do that not because they really care, but more because of it's like that cycle that you just, it feels good and then it feels bad when it doesn't happen, and it's this pendulum.
I will say, I'm pretty sure this was Kirsten Dunst's first Oscar nomination. So I can see how people might have seen that and been like, this is her first nomination. It's a big deal for her. Like, don't make fun of her, blah, blah, blah. But like I said, I don't think the joke was meant to be hurtful. I think she was in on it.
Agreed completely. I think that's all we're going to say about the Oscars. Thank you, everybody, for all the commentary in the chat and bearing with us. There's truly endless amounts to say, which is rare for the Oscars. It's the first year in a long time where I truly could talk about the Oscars for 5 hours. So that's good. Good for them. But we're going to move on to something I quite literally have no idea.
Now for the Oscars of college basketball, we're going to be talking about, I'm a really big March Madness fan, so I've been watching each game with, like, bated breath. I mean, it's been super interesting this year, like, so many upsets, and I have lost all 3 of my brackets. So the Elite 8 was last weekend, and Saturday the games were Houston versus Villanova and Arkansas versus Duke, with Villanova and Duke coming out on top. So those two were going to be entered to the Final Four, and everyone was so anxious for this UNC St. Peter's. I keep saying St. Petersburg, St. Peter's game on Sunday, because if UNC won, they'd be playing Duke in the Final Four. And that is exactly what has panned out. And then also just Kansas versus Miami. Kansas has won, so they're also going into the Final Four, which is coming up this Saturday. The games are this Saturday, and it's just pretty massive because Duke UNC is, like, they're the biggest rivals, and the fact that they're all like going against each other, and it's in New Orleans. I am a little biased because I have so many of my friends here went to Duke, and they flew out. They got $1,000 tickets or flying out overnight to go see it. So I've been living vicariously through them.
Interesting.
So do you guys care at all about this game?
I couldn't care less, except I care about March Madness because it's such a great vehicle for other things. So Wicked, the musical, the Instagram account. This is my response. This is truly all I have to say. The Instagram account did a March Madness bracket of all the songs from Wicked, and it was like, you did the bracket, and so that was my March Madness, and I truly enjoyed it tremendously. It's weird. It's sad that I don't like following sports because I like the ways people analyze sports, like the way we do our by the numbers shows and all of our stats stuff. Like I live for that. It's one of my favorite things that we do on the SNL Network. But and it's the stuff people do with sports analysts. It's we use so much of like similar analytical tools that you talk about with sports, and I just wish I cared because it fits my like intellectual part of my brain. It makes sense. It's the type of ways I like to think, but I can't do it.
Well, here's some pop culture news following March Madness, which doesn't typically happen. So Eric Church, he's a pretty famous country singer. He has a concert in San Antonio scheduled for this Saturday at the AT&T Center, and he actually just canceled this concert on Wednesday. And here's the letter that he published out to each of the individual people that got tickets. To the church choir, which is a really cute name for your fans. That's a side note. This Saturday, my family and I are going to stand together to cheer on the Tar Heels as UNC, as the team has made it to the Final Four. As a lifelong Carolina basketball fan, I've watched Carolina and Duke battle over the years, but I have yet to this is wrong. I have yet to see them match up in the Final Four. This is the first time in history of the NCAA tournament is any sports enthusiast dream. He did not edit this right. This is also the most selfish thing I've ever asked the choir to do. Give up your Saturday night plans with us so I can have this moment with my family and sports community. However, it's the same type of passion felt by people who fill the seats at our concert that makes us want to be part of a crowd at a game of this significance. Woody Durham has always said, go where you go, do what you do. Thanks for letting me go here and be with the Tar Heels. So he has canceled this concert that people have spent money to go see the UNC Duke basketball game. So I'm so curious everyone's opinion.
This I think is funny. This is very interesting to
wild,
me. Yeah. It's so the first thing that came into my mind is I wonder what people would say if Chris Rock did that on Saturday and he canceled his Saturday shows to go on an SNL. I don't think he would do that because he really is like one of the least egomaniacal celebrities I think ever. And anything I hear about him is that he's like very humble and wouldn't do that. But I mean, could you blame him if he canceled his shows to go on SNL to talk about this? I wouldn't blame him at all. It's interesting. Clearly, this guy is a little bit of a little egotistical if he calls his fans the choir. That to me, that's like all I need to know, that he's selfish to begin with. So I feel like for him, I have no idea who he is. So I'm just painting this picture out of nothing. But I feel like for him to call your fans the choir and then go cancel stuff to go watch a sports game, I'm like, that adds up. That makes sense to me. But good for him. Like, be your authentic self, even if that means that you are selfish. Like, as long as you own being selfish, there's not really a problem.
I think he should have been more apologetic. I think I don't necessarily have, because like there's no way he could have known when he scheduled these dates that like all of these events were going to lead up to his favorite team. I don't know anything about sports, by the way, but his favorite team doing a very important thing. So I understand, this was out of his control, but he also I think when he says, this is the most selfish thing I've ever done, and I'm asking my fans to, I can't remember what it was, but I feel like he should have been a little bit more apologetic, because I'm sure there are people who are really looking forward to seeing him, and they did spend money on his concert. And I know if I was really if I was going to go see Megan Thee Stallion, I would be super excited. And if I heard she was canceling to see a basketball game, I'd be bummed out. So, but I also, like, he's a person. He should get to do things that he enjoys and not have to constantly be a slave to his work schedule. So I'm conflicted.
Wait, I disagree. I think this is so messed up. I don't think he should have ever canceled this. Like, I mean, yeah, it sucks. It sucks that you can't go to this game if you're having a concert, but you made a commitment to your friends. Like, if I were to just message my manager and say, hey, there's a really big thing that I want to do. Like, okay, RuPaul Drag Race finale is on East Coast time. Oh, hi, manager. I'm just going to end work early to go watch this, which is
I think that's something you would
Final
do.
Four game. No, I wouldn't. Actually, I would. No. I mean,
See, if I were your manager, I would like understand and be happy for you.
No, I mean, you have work as a commitment. You're making money off of this job. That comes first no matter what. Like, we moved this podcast a few weeks ago because at my work, I needed to work. And that's, like, in my mind, I think that's so unacceptable. And I did that at work once
when the Britney Spears hearings were happening, like the original ones. I told work that I had to be gone from 12 p.m. to 12:45 p.m. on like a Tuesday.
Just put it on.
I did say that. Yeah, I know. In retrospect, I didn't have to do that. I could have just had it playing. But I was just a silly little child then a year ago. I didn't know better. It was like 20 minutes, and I was like, I have to take off for this. I think I just wanted to be kind of funny about it and like cheeky, but there was no point. Anyway, as you were.
I also feel like it's different when it's like somebody that employs you. Like, they're, not to get too preachy, but preach
to the choir.
Well, within our capitalist system, I don't think it's a big problem to take off work to do something that you want to enjoy. But because the roles are reversed and these people are paying him to see him perform, I think you're right. He does have an obligation to show up and do his job because they're literally giving their money to him, so he will do his job.
To be fair, he refunded everyone the tickets. Right. He's not rescheduling, though, which is crazy to me. And Jason Aldean also defended him and saying that he completely understands what he's doing. And I'm like, I mean, maybe I'm thinking of my work, which is not being a mega famous country singer. And I really don't have the autonomy to just do whatever I want. And to be fair, I work in tech. It's decently flexible. So I would never I don't know. It's so hard for me to imagine myself in that situation. But just a really interesting, March Madness Final Four drama pop culture story.
The last thing I'll say on that is, as Sandrine pointed out in the chat, Sandrine always on it. The other thing I like about March Madness brackets is we actually did one on the SNL Network recently. We did a bracket for catchphrases. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely do it. It was like one of our Superfan Takeover long haul episodes, and it was so much fun, and it was fun to watch. I wasn't in on that one, but it was like when you want to really nerd out, it's really fun. So go listen to that one after this, or if you haven't already. And that's all I have to say. So March Madness, I like it here. I like it when it's incorporated for Wicked, the musical, and that's that on that.
Go Duke. Okay.
You want to introduce your favorite segment, Rebecca?
Yes, my favorite segment is what do we think they will mention on SNL this week? So I'm going to quickly run through. We had a lot of Oscars talk about the slap and every celebrity that has commented on the slap. And then we also discussed just a lot of the Lady Gaga, Liza Minelli comments and then presentation. And then we had Amy Schumer and Regina, and then also Wanda Sykes, all the hosts stuff. So those are three separate, in my mind, entities that they're going to talk about. And then March Madness in general, the Final Four, and then Eric Church. So do not defend your answer. Just say what you think they'll definitely talk about this week on SNL. Nicole, start.
I want to be quirky and different. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say Kirsten Dunst.
Okay, I'm gonna say the slap then. I was gonna think of a backup if you both were gonna say it.
Okay, Shelby, what's yours? And in the chat, let us know too what yours is. Manifest, even if it's not what you think, manifest what you want in the chat.
I feel like the slap can't even really count because there's literally no way they're not going to acknowledge it, right? Like, there's no way.
We said that about Kanye.
Yep.
That's fair, but I feel like that was a more sensitive issue because it involved Pete Davidson, who's on like a cast member on the show, whereas like Chris Rock and Will Smith aren't cast members on the show, so it's like way less consequential to them. So I feel like that's way more likely to happen. So I mean, yeah, I guess the slap, but if I feel like that doesn't necessarily count, then probably, yeah, Kirsten Dunst then would be the next thing about that I would say is the most relevant.
Yeah, Chris, it's an interesting one because he, of all of like the former cast members, he comes on, I would say more than anyone in casual ways. So a lot of them come on if they're signed on to do an impression, a political impression. Like Maya Rudolph had that contract where she was basically a cast member for a third of the season when she was doing Kamala Harris. Obviously, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler when they did Sarah Palin and well, I guess and Hillary Clinton at that time, they both came on after they had left. And so when that happens, but Chris Rock does it, he comes on so frequently, kind of just randomly, like he pops in and out. So of anybody who's a former cast member who pops in casually, he's at the top of the list of who would be likely to do it, except if you weren't booked and busy this weekend.
That's fair.
So
but yeah,
that's that.
Okay, good call. I think we'll be right. More this week than ever.
This week it's hard to be wrong this week based on what we said. But yeah, so with that, first of all, we're gonna Shelby, we want to hear where people can find you, and then we're gonna switch things up. We're gonna plug SNL Network at the end. So just you personally, where can people find you? What are you up to? What's up?
I do so many cool, fun, creative things. I just rebranded my website, which is shelbyfrostwoods.com. So if you want to, honestly, anything that you want to find of mine is on my website, shelbyfrostwoods.com. If you, are looking for like a digital freelancer for like video editing or podcasting, I mean, I feel like Nicole and Rebecca can attest to my skills. I'm talented. So email me, send me an email. And that's it. All my socials are there too. So website is shelbyfrostwoods.com.
Yes, and thank you so much for being here. It was so much fun to have you on screen because I think for Rebecca and I, it feels kind of like you're on the show, even though it doesn't for people who aren't listening. But it was nice to have you, so now everybody can hear you. It was very fun.
I'm so excited to be invited on the show. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, so this show is like big kudos to Shelby day to day, and then also this week in particular for actually joining us.
Yes.
You guys.
And Rebecca, where can people find you? And also, how's tech and how's COVID?
Yeah, it's chilling.
Second COVID.
I'm good. I mean, just follow me out for barbecue on anything. Nothing super interesting going on. Happy Transgender Day of Visibility. So that's something that we should not fail to mention. And yeah, I mean, if you want to if anyone here wants to DM me some recs for any content, and don't say Succession, Nicole, I will be really bored during this next 10 days or so. So hit me up anywhere.
Yes, I'm watching The Dropout. I think you would like it.
I've seen it. I've seen a lot of it. I just haven't finished.
Rebecca, because it's like the West Coast tech world, Silicon Valley vibes. It's very that's mine. I think actually after this, I'm either going to watch Questlove's documentary or the rest of The Dropout. Those are my top two things I need to catch up on right now. And you can find me at Nicole Rovine on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I have my handle back. If you know, you know. I had I had to change it, and then I had to change it back. And we're kicking. We're back again at Nicole Rovine. Feels so good. And as for the SNL Network, we are back in the swing of things. It always feels good to be back here. This is one of the first shows we do in the when we have our full on weeks. We kind of kick it off here pretty much. And then we have a new episode on Saturday. So Gerard Carmichael is hosting with musical guest Gunna. It's going to be really fun and a lot to cover. Of course, I feel like we're on the edge of our seats to see how SNL is going to handle this. So definitely after you tune in and watch SNL, the Hot Take Show, as always, is going to be at 1:10 a.m. Eastern Time. So it's the place, the only place, and the best place to talk about the episode right after it airs. Dump your thoughts in the chat, connect with people all over the place, all over the world who are like have a million thoughts running through their brains after they watch the show. It's so much fun. And then, of course, if you can't be there live, it's available Sunday. So that's what you listen to on Sunday if you didn't make it the night before. And then Monday, the roundtable is just a more extended version. We go more in depth. We talk about more themes, underlying themes that relate to the full season in the context of that one episode. We're going to have a patron feedback show on Wednesday, and then we're back here on Thursday. So thank you all for being here. We are so excited to be back in this new stretch of episodes, and we will see you next time.
Bye.